Well, this is it. Everything we own in 7 suitcases. So it is the final day. Everything is in a suitcase or in a trash bag to be thrown away later. So I am making one last trip to my second favorite coffee shop, have a meeting with someone, and then it's time for monthly reflection. And the process I go through for the monthly reflection is extremely templated so that each month I can really focus in on what I'm actually reflecting on as opposed to trying to figure out what the heck to talk about. So if you're familiar with journaling at all, that's pretty much what the first part of this is. I pretty much just have a section where all I do is talk about how the month went. Pros, cons, good, bads, up, downs, uglies, whatever it is, it goes into that section. And then once I've gotten essentially a brain dump, anything that I'm thinking about at all, then I'll go into taking screenshots of my actual time blocks from the previous month. So something, if you've seen any of my time blocking videos, you know, I always talk about the importance of adjusting your time blocks to what they actually were. So once you've adjusted them over the month, you can look back and start saying, okay, which ones worked and which ones didn't. And then I go through and finish up that reflection with whatever those time blocks were that worked or didn't. And the main thing you want to look out for here is figuring out where you were wrong in terms of how long things took. Because something as a business owner, content creator, just marketer in general, you really want to make sure that you're allocating your most precious resource, your time, in the correct way. And so to make sure that you can do that and time block effectively moving forward is to just make sure that whatever the plan was, that you adjusted it so you're easily able to see in retrospect, oh my gosh, you know what, this took 3 or 4 hours. I only thought it was going to take 2. So the next time you have to do it, it's not going to be such a what's the way to say this? Mess up your time blocks so much. And so then the next part is actually something that I haven't seen before, and that is going back to your previous month's reflection and just reading through it. So I never expect anyone to remember everything that they worked on or everything and how life went, but it is nice because you can go back and then you can essentially respond to whatever those reflections were. So for example, for me, I was looking back and I noticed that I was sick actually multiple times in June. And so I was able to look at it and go, okay, I got sick in June, but I didn't get sick in July. So what did I change? What was done differently? And then that gave me insights into, oh, look, I can actually see that in June, I had some multiple days that were over 10 hours. So maybe there's a correlation there. Maybe not. That's just a really basic example of what you can be looking for. And then I go ahead and look at the previous month's action plan. So this is going to tie into your goals or whatever you're trying to work on. But essentially you want to look at whatever you plan to do over the month and say what was accomplished, what wasn't, and then maybe why. And then finally we wrap up with, okay, now that we've done all of that looking backwards, let's go ahead and look forwards now and say, what should we be focused on this month? What do we need to work on right now? And so that's where we wrap things up. We work on whatever needs to be done this particular month. You create that project plan. That is what's going to tie into your time blocks. That's what's going to determine how you spend the next month. And then you just have a little closing section where you just go through whatever else is on your mind or whatever else you are working on so that you kind of wrap everything up, you tie a nice little bow on it, and then you're all done, good to go. And of course, if you have a goal sheet or you're using the business quadrants, you'd want to go ahead and update that so you have everything in one place. And then essentially you do this every month so that you have a clear track record of how you were feeling, what was working, what wasn't working. And then it's also going to be very helpful in terms of your quarterly and annual reviews because everything's going to be documented. Because hindsight bias is real. It's very easy to look back and have the previous quarter or the previous 6 months completely overshadow something that was really important that happened at the beginning of the year. And so making sure you write all of this out, you have all of this down on paper in the same format will help you stay consistent and actually be able to make the proper adjustments based upon how things have actually gone. Because I think something that's really hard to forget is the emotional element of doing all of this, right? Like, there's no way for me to quantify the amount of brain power, or I guess loss of sleep you could quantify, but the amount of emotional toll just packing up all of my stuff into 6 suitcases and then planning to move, halfway across the world. There's no way to determine how that impacts my work, but it is helpful in terms of understanding, okay, I'm gonna be able to see how my mindset and how I viewed things was different this month versus other months when I wasn't trying to move. I think I'm probably rambling a little bit there, but just harping on the fact that the emotional element of all of this is in fact important. So with that, it's time for me to actually get the apartment ready to go. Just taking a bunch of pictures to make sure that I don't get billed for anything that we didn't actually break. And then it's time to go to the new Airbnb. And then it's time to go to the Airbnb. It's not a new Airbnb. Sorry for all the cuts. My arm is ridiculously tired. So clean up, take pictures of the apartment, then go to the Airbnb, because today really is the last day in my apartment. Phew. So at the mall now, just made the last round of Amazon returns, shipped some stuff off to friends from the UPS store. All the trash is gone. It's about 3 o'clock now. It's time to have some boba and lunch. Everything is gone. We are down to just 6 suitcases of our stuff. One for something called Pasalubong. I don't know how to pronounce that, but essentially it's just gifts for family. And then all of our stuff is in the other 6 suitcases. This is absolutely crazy. There's nothing left in the apartment. Time to go to the Airbnb and start the next part of this ridiculously crazy journey. And until the next, keep building the business you love.